ecigs.co.uk, sponsors of the Haze Hour.
And whoever it was said, can Day whistle? You can go and whistle as well. Hello, Keith.
Hello.
Good evening, everybody. All right.
Evening.
You're fitting well and stuff like that. It's all good, isn't it? An evening of firsts tonight. It is an evening of firsts. It's an evening of firsts. A little later in the show, we are going to be bringing you an exclusive premiere.
Oh.
Red carpet stuff.
Oh. Oscars.
Oscars? No, he wasn't involved.
All right.
I don't think so. Exclusive premiere, that's coming up. The new Gadgets and Wheels docu-vid, I believe it's called, on e-cigs, and it's very, very good. So we'll be playing that. I have some footage from the island of Ireland. Did you notice the subtle?
I did, yes.
The island of Ireland.
Very subtle, yes.
Very subtle, very subtle. We were across there and had a whale of a time at Vapefest Ireland. The videos from the e-cigs summit have only just been released, so too late for me to pull everything together for tonight, but that we will be covering as time goes by. It's all good. And then there's a plethora, a veritable plethora. A veritable plethora.
God.
There is a veritable plethora of new kit splattered about here, some of which we may or may not be looking at depending on how things go. Before we play the titles though, I would just like to remind people that you can tweet the show using the hashtag Haze Hour with 2 capital H's, and give us your comments on tonight's show. Should you so desire, that would be marvellous if you would like to do that, and we shall pick them up and dive into them now and then, which will all be good. So don't forget, I'll bring it up again and see if it works properly this time. Right, like that. There you go. See, didn't go after a video then because I'd selected the right shot. Pardon me, hiccups. So tweet the show using the hashtag Haze Hour, and give us your comments on tonight's show. We'll also be seeing what's going on in chat. Apparently Gary Dibley's at the lathe. I dread to think what he's turning and what he's using to do the cutting. But you know, Gary, could be anything. There'll probably be blood. If there's blood, Gary, film it. I suppose we ought to play the titles, oughtn't we, really?
Yes.
Were you reading again?
Yes, a cornucopia.
Cornucopia.
Is it
cornucopia?
Oh, all right.
A cornucopia, which is a veritable plethora.
Yes.
Yes, cornucopia.
Right.
Yes, I thought posh chap like you know, cornucopia. The one resting, what one resting on Dee top lip? Look, Movember, right? Movember. So that's me more.
And I didn't even notice.
Yes, that's me more. I'm going to shape it a bit though. It's just at that you want to clear it off stage. It's probably a good time to say hello, good evening, and welcome to the Haze Hour. Isn't it?
It is.
Wasn't it? Yes. Yes, live and unrehearsed. You're right.
You're not kidding.
Live and unrehearsed. You're definitely not kidding, because yes, I'm never even sure what we're going to do. I'll tell you what, shall we start with Ireland?
Yes.
Now,
the Republic, of course.
The Republic of Ireland, yes, Dublin.
Yes,
Dublin.
Right.
We were in Dublin, at the Lucan Spa Hotel on Saturday. It was Vapefest Ireland.
Drinking Guinness.
Oh God, yes. And it's gorgeous. It's totally different over there from what it is here.
Ah, you've said, yeah.
Here it's a bit like the waste products of a pussycat.
Right.
Over there, it's nectar. It's sweet, it's dark, it's creamy, the head stays on forever. Over here, seriously, I'd rather chew a turd.
How much is it a pint over there?
Yeah, that's the thing. They use funny money. It's those
euro, yes.
euro things. And they don't, nobody knows what the exchange rate is. It fluctuates from day to day. So it's somewhere between 4 and 5 quid a pint where we were.
Right.
But worth every last cent. It was gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. I enjoyed it terrifically, as I enjoyed Vapefest. So what I did while I was there, I thought, right, I'll shoot some video. So I've shot some video, but it's not like interviews with people like that. I just thought I'd give everybody a flavour of what it was like. So, shall we?
Well, tell them to blank out the music.
No, they love the music.
Right.
Seriously, if you want to bang your heads while you're going through it, that would be fabulous. So here it comes. Enjoy. Just prior to 11 o'clock. There you go. That was Vapefest Ireland.
Someone said on chat they would feel like a kid in a candy shop.
I did.
I mean, the array of stuff in there must have been, to say the least, confusing.
I wouldn't have said confusing, I would have said exciting.
I mean, well, yes.
I mean, seriously.
I mean, so many people there.
700 plus. There was a guy on the door, had a proper doorman, and clickety-clickety-click on one of those little clickety-clickety counter things. 700 plus. That's including the vendors, so 628 punters, plus all the vendors and their staff and everybody else. Absolutely fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. There's one or two people saying, can they come with me next year? Do it. Do it. You've got to do it. You'll never get a welcome like it. It's just absolutely fabulous. I mean, there's people walking up to us all day saying hello. That I couldn't put the names to the faces, you know. And it was just lovely to be there.
Very friendly, yeah.
Very, very friendly. It was interesting. The Friday night, we all went up to the Lucan Spa Hotel to have a few, you know, but exercise the right arm. Pint in one, pint in the other. You've got to keep it even. And they'd put a blue condom over the smoke alarm in the room that we were in, the bar that we were in, because there was quite a fug getting kicked up. And they'd worked out that by the time there was going to be what was thought to be 450, 500 people turn up, that was why they put the notice on the door to say, keep the vaping in the main hall if you will, please. Otherwise the alarms will go off. And I'm here to tell you, the doors opened at 11 o'clock. David walked in, 10 past 11, the alarm went off. It was like a smoking shaft. It was absolutely lush. Absolutely lush. I'll have a look and see if there's anything coming in on the Twitter. Where are we at? Haha! Yes, I'll put this one up straight away. Make sure you've clicked on main, David. Clicked on main, that's good. Yes, Vaping Juggler says, unlucky not to get the DNA 40, always next time. Actually, I'm here to tell you, I got one. Because later on in the evening, there was a guy walking past, Paul I think his name was, or it's either Paul or Mark, I do apologise, I might have been slightly tiddly pushed by that time, who had a DNA 40, so I parted with some greenbacks and bought it, and I've actually got it next door. But I also bought the 2 DNA 40 boards, and in a moment of daftness today, I'll show you this, I might as well, we'll put it there. Take that down, David, you silly boy. There it is, look, in a ZNA 40, turn it the right way up and people can see that is a DNA 40 equipped ZNA 50. I took it to bits and put the DNA 40 into it, and it's working quite nicely, thank you. So it was all good. You going to go next year, Keith?
Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Never been.
It's wonderful, lovely place. The Guinness is like nectar. It rolls down your throat. And the welcome you'll get is second to none. It was brilliant, absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for letting me go, Ireland. I was in you and I will be in you again next year. Time to take the adverts because we've got the biggie coming up. Straight after the adverts, the premiere. Don't go anywhere.
SaveTheCigs.co.uk sponsors of the Haze Hour.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
Vapers, do you love discovering new e-liquids? Tell Dripper the types of flavours you like and they'll send you 5 gourmet juices each month. Experience new and exclusive flavours, all with a money-back guarantee and free delivery anywhere in Europe. Dripper.co.uk.
Healthy Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquids. Proud sponsors of vaping entertainment on Vapor Trails TV.
ecigs.co.uk, sponsors of the Haze Hour.
And we're back in the room. Now, everybody that was asking in chat who was the music by, if you look on YouTube and search for Ethan Meixell, Meixsell, it's in the you can use this audio on YouTube. That's where it's all come from. Does an awful lot of stuff like that. Ethan Meixell. Meixsell. So there you go. Now, Gadgets and Wheels is in chat, and a wee while back he said, could he come and film me? And not just me, there's a fair few folks he's filmed. Try saying that when you've had a couple of pints. There's a fair few folks he's filmed. A fair few friendly folks he's filmed.
Fair few friendly folks
he's filmed. And what you are about to see is the world premiere of the documentary that he's come up with. So sit back, relax, enjoy this. I think you will.
Stop these cigarettes before they stop you. Stop these cigarettes.
E-cigarette use is growing at a phenomenal rate. These electronic devices have been chosen by many smokers as a replacement for smoking cigarettes or tobacco. Not everyone agrees with the use of e-cigarettes, and some news stories have left many people confused about just how safe they are compared to smoking. I want to find out whether e-cigarettes might give smokers a better chance at life than an early death that awaits many of them. And I want to understand how e-cigarettes have become such a popular choice in helping people to quit the habit, and just how safe they are compared to smoking tobacco. First of all, I need to know just how harmful smoking regular tobacco really is.
The death toll from smoking is staggering. About 100,000 people a year in the UK, about 700,000 a year in the European Union, and about 6 million worldwide die early as a result of their smoking. It's a cause of well over 60 known diseases, many forms of cancer, cardiovascular disease, stroke, emphysema, and so on. Incredibly damaging thing to do to your health if you smoke and you keep smoking throughout your adult life.
Do you mind me not smoking?
With such alarming statistics from smoking, I want to find out what the medical profession thinks of e-cigarettes.
As a doctor, I think that we can recommend for our patients who smoke to switch to electronic cigarettes. The evidence so far supports this switch. We know that electronic cigarettes are far less risky than continuing to smoke. We might be surprised to see how many people follow our advice, stop using regular tobacco, and will eventually save many years of their life.
So it is clear that some people in the medical profession believe that e-cigarettes as an alternative to smoking can be good for health.
5 and a bit years ago, smoking 60 a day, and I'd cut down, I'm here to tell you. And one of the guys came into the rehearsal studio where I worked with what looked like a fag on the go. This is post 2007, smoking bans in place. I shouted, "You can't use that in here," and he said, "It's all right, Dave, it's a plastic tab." And I said, "Get out here, give us a look. How's that work?" Had a go, and I asked the fourth question that I've been asked a million times: where can I get one of them? Because the bottom line on it was, I saw a way of getting past the smoking ban, because everywhere I worked there was a smoking ban. So yeah, 10 days later, I didn't smoke cigarettes anymore.
Before they stop you.
At the moment, there's only 700,000 people that have completely switched to e-cigs and no longer smoking. And yeah, there's 1.4 million that are on that journey. But there's nothing to stop that 1.4 million becoming part of a 2.1 million people who have completely switched. And that, I think, that's a public health dividend that most people would like to see.
Many people are choosing e-cigarettes over smoking. John Diver is one of them.
Some people have said to me that I've quit smoking for another nicotine habit, but I wasn't interested in quitting, so it makes no difference to me. I use nicotine and I enjoy it. Nicotine in itself is fairly innocuous. It's not particularly harmful. It's the tar and in the smoke that causes all the disease and the death. So it doesn't bother me any more than it bothers me that people might say I'm addicted to coffee.
I think smokers choose to switch to e-cigarettes because they've thought for a while that they really do need to stop smoking, but they may have rejected other ways of doing it. Like, you know, most smokers know about patches and gum and lozenges and that sort of thing, and they may not have thought that was for them.
It's a completely rational and ethical thing to suggest to them that they try something that over 2 million people in the UK are now trying, and 700,000 have found successful. And actually, I would say if they didn't do that, they were being somewhat negligent.
So it's clear, some people believe wholeheartedly that e-cigarettes are a force for good for smokers. But just what is an e-cigarette? First of all, there's the base of the device. Inside the base includes the electronics and protection circuit. Then there's the battery. On top of that sits the tank and the drip tip. The tank is made up of two sections. Part of it holds the e-liquid and part of it contains the heating element or coil. A wicking material made of cotton, silica or sometimes steel mesh transfers the e-liquid to the coil. Simply press the power button and the coil begins to glow, vaporizes the e-liquid, which in turn produces the vapour to be inhaled.
There are 3 generations of e-cigs, or that's the way it's generally perceived. The first generation would be something that looks like a traditional tobacco cigarette. It could be a one-piece, or it could, as in this case, come in 2 parts. The battery is really, really tiny. The reservoir for any liquid is really, really tiny, and that really wouldn't last me much longer than an hour. So that's first generation. It's a proof of concept. It lets you know that the things work, but really it's not a great deal better than that. Second generation, much bigger, as you'll be able to see. The battery's a lot bigger, and this section down here up to this bright silver mark is the battery, so it's a lot bigger, and that would get many vapors through a day. A 20-a-day smoker might be able to use one of those for a full day. And of course, the liquid reservoir is also much bigger. And again, there are many 20-a-day smokers, or ex-smokers as they would be when they were vaping, that could get through a day on one of those, or close to a day. Generation 3 takes things a little bit further. Up until Generation 2, you couldn't vary the power. You couldn't tailor the experience to suit yourself. But with Generation 3, we get a little knob or a menued system or some way of varying the amount of power that actually gets to the working part, to the gubbins at the other end. And that then allows you to tailor your experience to suit exactly what you want out of it. And again, as you see, if I put all 3 together, we're going from tiny weeny battery up to reasonably large battery, up to a battery that's definitely going to last an ex 20-a-day smoker pretty much the whole of the day. Yeah, I suppose somebody that was just coming into it might look at a Generation 1 and think, I understand that, I know that, that's familiar. But it doesn't take very long after they've gotten one of these to realise these do the job so much nicer.
I think the prominent rise of the electronic cigarette industry from its humble beginnings, which were essentially based on the internet, is down to some key factors. I think the product appeals to people on many levels. Certainly the choice and availability of flavours has a significant impact in why people continue to come back and are enjoying the product. 2013 was a significant year for the industry, where we believe that it experienced triple-digit growth, hitting somewhere in the region of 190 million within the UK alone. There's no reason to doubt why this wouldn't increase over at least double digits over the next 5 years.
With e-cigarettes being used by thousands of people every day, just how seriously does the industry treat health and safety?
We ourselves are vapers, and we're really passionate about these products, and our view is that although it would be hard to make an electronic cigarette that's as dangerous as smoking, nevertheless our view is that they should be as safe as they can possibly be. So our focus has been on consumer protection from day one, looking at the regulation that's there already, what's missing, and filling in those gaps so that we can make these products absolutely tip-top, the best they can possibly be, to assure people that they are safe making the switch away from tobacco smoking into vaping, and hopefully saving a lot of lives that way.
We're always keen to work closely with trading standards, take advice from the people who care about how the product is presented to the market. This might include tests for toxicity, diacetyl, other things that shouldn't be in the flavours that we use. All of our ingredients are UK sourced, pharmaceutical grade for the glycols and for the nicotine, and we ensure that the product that we put on the shelf is the best possible quality that we can produce.
With so many people switching and millions of smokers out there, who is most likely to be switching right now?
One thing that we've learned in the Stop Smoking service is that the people who take to e-cigarettes best tend to be more well-educated people, people who are what you might call in a more affluent bracket, and people who are internet savvy. So they've done some research of their own on the internet. My concern as a manager of a Stop Smoking service is that we start to get the word out to people who live more chaotic lives, perhaps, people who suffer from very poor physical and mental health, or who are very financially impoverished, I suppose, because they're the ones that this could make so much impact on, but they're the ones that are least likely to experiment, because perhaps they can't afford to just go and buy 30 quid's worth of kit at a specialist retailer.
We know a lot about e-cigarettes, contrary to what some people would have you believe. It starts from the basic physics and chemistry. We know that the ingredients are pretty simple and pretty benign. We know there's no combustion, so there's no products of combustion. The chemistry is relatively straightforward. We know from toxicology assessments that there are some contaminants in these products, but they are at very low levels indeed, many times lower than in cigarette smoke. We see people using the products, nothing bad has really happened to them, some minor irritations at worst, and most people who use them report immediate significant gains in their health and well-being. So we can be fairly confident.
Stop e-cigarettes before they stop you.
There are a large number of benefits of using e-cigarettes if you currently smoke. I think one has to remember the risks of smoking tobacco are large. In fact, it will kill half of all users. What we know about electronic cigarettes is it provides the nicotine, which is what smokers miss when they stop smoking, but without the numerous toxins that are contained in tobacco smoke. And it's not the nicotine that causes the damage, it's everything else in tobacco smoke that is causing the harm. So for people who smoke, I would certainly recommend that they seriously think about switching to electronic cigarettes.
So, I'm getting nothing but positive vibes about e-cigarettes. But what about the concerns we hear and read in the media?
There are a number of concerns people have raised about electronic cigarettes. However, largely at the moment, these are mostly theoretical. These include things like a gateway effect, where you'd have people that have never smoked and perhaps would never have started smoking, but where they start using an electronic cigarette, and this somehow leads them to smoking regular tobacco. The evidence at the moment, though, suggests that this is not happening. Sure, we're having people experiment with electronic cigarettes, but actually the percentage that become regular users is actually quite low. In fact, it's somewhere between 12 and 14%. So at the moment, most electronic cigarette users are really only just trying it and are not really moving on to daily or regular use. And this is probably because electronic cigarettes are not quite as good as they need to be to really compete with tobacco smoke.
The paradox is the more closely it mirrors the experience of smoking in terms of the rate at which it delivers nicotine and some of the flavours, the more effective it is as a substitute for smoking.
There's a big risk in treating vapers like smokers, and that is that you destroy one of the incentives or some of the incentives to switch. Without a doubt, a number of people have switched from smoking to vaping because it allows them to back into pubs, back into clubs, back into indoor premises. If you take this away, you remove one of the drivers to switch, and actually there's a negative public health impact to doing that.
What we are is people who use nicotine but who don't want to die, and so we found a safer alternative. And what we believe that that vaping should be treated as something separate from smoking.
As these devices are becoming so popular, isn't it important that we regulate them and control advertising of them?
You know, if you over-regulate something that's designed to reduce harm, designed to compete with cigarettes, you're basically protecting cigarettes from competition. You're preventing cigarettes facing a more attractive competitor. And you might as well be going out to work and protecting the cigarette sales. And that's what it boils down to. So, for example, the European Union's decided that it ought to ban advertising of e-cigarettes. That's a gift to the cigarette sellers, because that's a competitor that can't now advertise. So you have to think all the time, what are the perverse and unintended consequences of this regulatory measure that I think I would like to take? Because it could end up in more smoking, more cigarette sales, more disease and more death.
It's really important that advertising is undertaken responsibly so that children and minors are not targeted. We've always been very clear that we support a mandated age restriction for these products. They're for adult smokers, they're not for children, any more than tobacco cigarettes are for children. That said, it's really important that advertising of these products is possible to be targeted to adult smokers so that they can be made aware that they have this option and more of them can be persuaded to switch away from smoking.
Before they stop you, stop the cigarettes. Before they stop
It is important to recognise that we don't want to encourage children or young people to take up this product, but at the same time striking the balance with making it available to those people who really need it. And we've witnessed firsthand the impact that this product can have on people's lives. It really is that bigger disruptive technology. The changes that people have told us about on a day-to-day basis, and many thousands of customers, is evident and testament to that. Striking the balance between choice, we often get criticised for some of the flavours that we produce, and making sure that we're not appealing to the wrong demographic is quite tricky, but it's one that's crucial to let people know that they can not only choose what flavour they'd like to vape, but also what strength of the nicotine they'd like within that fluid.
Another concern is it renormalises smoking. And the tobacco control sector has of course worked very hard over a number of years, and some people are worried that by introducing electronic cigarettes where people smoke them perhaps like normal cigarettes, that it might somehow undermine all of the good work that's been done.
They're worried that it will create a gateway effect to new smokers. You know, so people will get used to using nicotine on e-cigarettes and then switch to smoking. No evidence whatsoever any of this is happening. It's all actually heading in the opposite direction. If it's a gateway out.
We really need to work with them to find something that does work, and e-cigarettes seem to be the thing that makes the difference.
And in fact, what electronic cigarette use normalises is electronic cigarette use, not regular smoking. So again, there's no evidence at the moment to support the fact that electronic cigarettes are undermining all this good work that people have been doing.
We know from talking to our service users that what healthcare professionals say to them is quite important. So for instance, we've had people say to us that their GP has told them that e-cigarettes are far more dangerous than regular cigarettes. We know that's not true. and yet they'll go away and continue smoking because they think that they're choosing the least harmful option. Now, one of the Leicester City GPs compares vaping and smoking like comparing a skyscraper with a doorstep in terms of danger. So the skyscraper is smoking regular cigarettes with all the chemicals and the smoke that you get from that, and you compare that with the doorstep that is vaping, far less harmful, and that's a really good way of describing it to people who maybe don't understand what the comparative dangers are.
And indeed, we don't know the long-term risks of regular electronic cigarette use. We do, however, know that short-term use is associated with very few risks indeed. In fact, most people complain of only localized effects, the taste, the tickle in the back of the throat, and really nothing else at all. Now, it is possible that risks may emerge in the future, but we don't know what those are or even what to look for at the moment. And the only way of really realizing some of these risks would be for a large population of people to use them. So I think the way forward at the moment is to let people use them. What we do know is that they're significantly less risky than continuing to smoke. And that's the only comparator we really need to make, because it's people who smoke that are switching to these devices, not people who don't smoke.
The nice guidance on harm reduction says, if it's nicotine that people need, use that to stop going back to combustible cigarettes.
E-cigarettes have become a significant force for good. They're a clearly far less risky alternative to smoking tobacco, and they represent a sea change in attracting people away from those potential dangers. Here's an opportunity for public health bodies to stop in their tracks and recognise the real reasons e-cigarettes have been so successful. It's not through regulation, it's not through medicalisation, and not through taxation. Rather, it's through allowing people to think for themselves, to get easy access to e-cigarettes and choose a far less risky alternative.
This is revolutionary, and as Professor Robert West says, e-cigarettes could see the end of the smoking epidemic in our lifetime. I never thought I would say that as a healthcare professional.
Do I think electronic cigarettes can save lives? I think they're potentially the biggest thing that public health has had for a very long time. I think they could save hundreds of thousands of lives of people who would otherwise be smoking.
From the people I've spoken to, I can take confidence that e-cigarettes are a better choice as an alternative to smoking. So here's a final passionate word from committed vapor David Dawn.
So there we are. These people are showing it. The evidence is in, and the evidence says that e-cigs represent the biggest gift to public health that we've seen in decades. There is no doubt they are a good thing.
Before they stop you, stop these cigarettes. Before they stop you, stop these cigarettes. Before they stop you, stop these cigarettes. Before they stop you. Do you mind me not smoking? Do you mind me not smoking? Do you mind me not smoking? Do you mind me not smoking?
SaveTheCigs.co.uk sponsors of the Haze Hour.
RY4 Radio.
Joytech UK are proud sponsors of Vapetrails.tv.
ecigs.co.uk, sponsors of the Haze Hour.
There you go. Was that fabulous, or was that fabulous?
Absolutely first class, excellent. I mean, it encapsulated everything you need to know about e-cigs, didn't it?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I mean, you just like to think that got out in a big way on mainstream television.
Well, my understanding is that Gadgets and Wheels, Chris, who's filmed this, is seeking to get it placed on tellies. There's all kinds of different avenues to go, and I know he's very serious about getting it out there. For those of you that are watching on video on demand, by Friday, sometime during the course of Friday, that will be available on YouTube. Just search on Gadgets and Wheels. Gadgets and Wheels with a N, Wheels, I think it is. And once we've got the link for it, I'll put it in the description that actually goes along with this show, so you'll be able to click on it and go straight there. I want to say a dirty great big thank you, a fabulously big thank you, a massively big thank you to Chris for pulling this thing together. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. Once that is up on YouTube, people, send it viral, get it everywhere. The balance was there, and the balance, I think, was right.
Oh, perfect.
All of the objections were covered.
Yes.
Every objection that could have been mentioned was mentioned, and they were all covered. I think that was absolutely fabulous.
One of the things that I was curious about was the lady who was speaking on behalf of the Stop Smoking Service, which led me to the question, are local stop smoking services actually suggesting this as an alternative to, you know, stop smoking medications such as patches and tablets and puffers and all the rest of it?
Some of them are. Louise Ross's, they can't recommend per se.
Well, recommend's perhaps the wrong word.
What they are doing is exposing people to them in a way that makes them give them good consideration. And what Louise has been doing has paid off extremely well for her. She reckons it's kind of, it's not a magic bullet.
Yes.
But it's bloody good and better than the alternative, frankly.
I was a bit confused over the comments about the educated classes and those perhaps who are not so educated and are of limited means. I found that a bit confusing.
How so?
Well, people of limited means may be spending £8 a day on a packet of 20 cigarettes.
Keith,
surely they can be educated.
Yeah, but you and I both know they're not spending £8 a day on a pack of fags. They're getting 20 fags for £4 off a bloke down the pub.
Well, some of them might be.
They're getting their backy and rolling. I mean, we've seen that happen. That's exactly the way it's going. That there's more.
I just felt that was a point that didn't necessarily need to be made.
Well, I've got mixed feelings on it, I've got to be honest, because I reckon if you can afford to smoke, you can afford to vape because it's cheaper to vape than smoke.
Well, quite.
What I've heard, though, is that 30, 40, 50 quid for a decent starter kit, and that's important. A decent starter kit is important. You don't want crap, you don't want shite, you don't want something that's not going to work. You want a decent starter kit. It's got to be generation 2 or higher, and you need 2 batteries, just in case. And you need spare atomizers, and you need enough juice. So you're looking at maybe 50 quid, and that might be a little bit difficult to find, I don't know.
Hence the point of getting that on mainstream television, because it's going to reach everybody. Not only the people who are supposedly well educated and comfortably off.
Well, yes.
It'll reach everybody.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. I think we need to be talking to the likes of Chris Choi and 1 or 2 other folks on television, and let's see if we can get it up there.
Yeah.
They keep on accusing us of being an organised rabble. Let's get bloody organised, and let's start petitioning all of these various different television companies to play that out. They should be doing it. I mean, it was beautifully put together.
It was.
Aside from that ugly fat bloke with the baldy head and the glasses, blind smoking, shouting his gob off all the time, it was brilliant.
No, I've never seen anything like that. That was really good and well balanced, in my view.
I think you're absolutely right. I'm going to have a look and see whether we've got anything on Twitter, and we've got some stuff. Hang on, make sure I click on main first. I have clicked on main, so I can bring it up without all going crackers. Sildano says that was champion. And Stevie B says, I want to see that again on national TV.
Yes.
Best docu ever. What we got here? From Gordon Allen Beard, it's an excellent vid. Kudos. He's not wrong either. What have we got? Granny Louisa using skyscraper v doorstep analogy for tobacco v e-cig risks on Haze Hour. Can I steal that, Louise? That's from Vaping Juggler. I'm sure she won't mind. She will not mind. From, oh Lord, how do you say this? Bernice Isher? Bernice Isher. Excellent vid. Right? Where have we got? Ban cancer 6. Yeah, I don't like bans. There you go. From e-cigologist. The docu is bloody marvellous, fact-based and logical. A rarity. Yes. Great job. I'm hoping everybody on Twitter's picking this up. I really am. And Chris, if you're watching, send the buggers an invoice. But let's finish with that one again from Seldano. That was, in fact, champion. I'm just going to take a couple of bits and bobs out of chat as well. Fuzzface has said, Fuzzface1973 has said, making the switch was the best thing I ever did. 4 months without a cig, so let's get vaping mainstream. Graham God's 1001 Entwistle, the longest name, says his missus doesn't get what smoking costs a month. I know what it costs. I was on 60 a day, you know. I might have mentioned that in that video.
You did, yes.
Currently that would be £26 a day. And if anybody ever turns around and tells me that £120 mod like this Solara, which I'll be having a look at in cahoots with my friends, at 120 quid or so is expensive. £26 a day, bud. £26 a day for fags. 5.5 years I've been off them now, you know.
Is it that long?
5.5 years.
Yes.
I'll let somebody else do the sums because I haven't got that many fingers. Even if I take my shoes and socks and trousers off, I can't count that high. So there you go. Sean O'Toole has said now he vapes, he feels sick when he thinks how much he spent a week on 40 to 50 a day. There you go. Entropy 72, I know he was talking about the sequel, bring the sequel out, Mr. Dyson, and he says, I hope you've got lots of room on the cover for testimonials. There's going to be lots of cover. Yeah, get it on DVD, let's get it out there, give the bugger away. One of the vendors, surely one of the vendors could afford to get, 50,000 DVDs printed off and just scatter it out everywhere. That would be good.
Oh, that would be good.
Robs has had a good idea. He says, just switch NHS funding from NRT to e-cigs. Yes. There you go. Neil Ruff is saying he doesn't even spend £26 a month. Marco van Basten obviously has a pocket calculator or a lot of fingers because he reckons it's 9.5k a year. Multiply that up by 5.5. 9.5 times 5.5. Oh, there's the half scene.
10,000 a year.
Call it 10. I go on, call it
10,000.
Because I like Zippos as well. So you're looking at 55,000.
Yeah.
Haven't spent anywhere near that. Not. Yes, Mike B says no, not again. DD, keep the clothes on. And time's beating us. I've just looked up at the studio clock.
Exactly 10 o'clock.
And time's beating us now, people. Have a look at this, because that's the last time you're going to see that. The Haze Hour is not going to come from this setup ever again. It's not happening. On Monday, all of that lot and everything behind, all of this lot here, it's all getting ripped out. It's getting hid away and bespoke stuff put in. So hopefully by next Thursday, it'll all be there. And that's.
But first of all, you've got to empty it.
Yeah, gotta empty it.
Yes.
Oh bugger.
Not an easy task.
No, it's not going to be an easy task because we've got no room to start with. But there you go. That's the way it is. That's the way it works. So I think we'd better bring it to a close and say, oh, what's this? Sean O'Toole now only spends £400 a month on mods and mechs, but they are shiny. I love shiny. Shiny's good. Shiny's good. Somebody did say during the course of the video as well, does that mean that the DNA 40 is the 4th generation? It is, and I'll be talking about that next week. Until then, from Keith and myself, from Cat and Sav in the background who are doing the production tonight, from us all. Are you ready, Keith?
Yes.
You know how to do this, don't you?
Yes.
Vape on! Vape hard and
Don't
let the bastards grind you down.
down.
Till we see you next time. Take that vid viral, look after each other, and we'll see you on the flip side. Tatty bye,
night.
everybody.
Good night.
SaveTheSigs.co.uk sponsors of the Haze Hour.